he's holding a dog and it says, "I wish you were this puppy." And I'm like, okay, that's really funny. So then I turn around, I spin, like, do like a, like a 360 in the room. I see two other George Clooney pictures. One is in the windowsill, and then the last one is on the bed. All of these are framed pictures. And the one on the bed, on top of the pillow, it says, "Lay here with me." And I thought, this is hysterical, right?
You're listening to the Loyalty Minute, the show that helps you build better customer loyalty and more valuable user engagement, with your host, Rob Gallo.
Welcome, loyal listeners, to another episode of the Loyalty Minute. I'm your host, Rob Gallo, and today I'm super eager and excited to chat with Sheila Butler. Sheila is the founder and chief marketing officer for Butler Marketing Group in Orlando, Florida. Welcome to the show, Sheila. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Rob, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we spoke a couple of weeks ago, just preliminarily, about what we were going to talk about. And, we just said, whatever the conversation is, it dovetails back to loyalty, customer loyalty, brand loyalty, why people buy from companies they do business with. Before we get into that, let me just have you give you background, who you are, where you came from, and how you got to where you're at in, your 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, so I started my career at Walt Disney World in entertainment and then in marketing, and then found myself working at a tech startup and taking all of the lessons learned in Disney marketing and branding principles and applying them to entrepreneurs who were working on branding their businesses and going out for venture capital pitches and needed a way to position. And then from there, I went to financial services. I actually started the Disney Visa credit card and worked with other great brands like Starbucks and IHG and so forth. And then found myself back in hospitality, leading a global hotel loyalty program called Choice Privileges, and leveraging partnerships and that story to elevate the loyalty program and drive more aspirational redemption opportunities in the brand. And from there, I led the marketing team at Choice Hotels, the internal and external agencies, and then came back down to Orlando, which I love. And so that's where I'm sitting now. And I most recently was a chief marketing officer for a specialty bank that invests and monetizes fintech companies. So it's been a great ride, and I'm excited now to have my new company and to focus on the things that I love, that I'm passionate about. So branding, partnership marketing, loyalty programs, and fractional or part-time CMO work.
Awesome. That's great. Obviously, you can't be in Orlando without getting hit by the Mickey Mouse bug. It seems like, without question, Mickey Mouse is everywhere in Orlando.
You know what? So I wanted to work at Disney since I was 6. So I just had the bug early on when I was on vacation. And that was always a goal of mine. And it was really a privilege to work at Disney. And I tell you what, it's funny how life goes full circle, because once I started my organization, Butler Marketing Group, I reconnected with some Disney folks and ended up joining Magic Makers Group, which is a group of former Disney executives, or those of us who worked at Disney who rose in our careers after Disney. And it's a whole group of consultants and practitioners that basically take all of the lessons learned that we learned at Disney in different disciplines like marketing and retail and culture and food and beverage, and are now applying those to many different industries, many different companies. So it's crazy. I would have never had guessed that when I got the bug at 6, that this would be my life today.
When you talk about loyalty, I think it's interesting too, because loyal to the brand of Disney, my dad bought my daughter 30 years ago when she was born, stock certificates, actual Disney stock certificates that we still have in my safe. You know what I mean? The actual shares themselves. And it's something you don't really think about too often, but the loyalty not only to the brand from a consumer standpoint, but I remember listening to a book, I think it might have been the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And he was talking about the people that work in the establishment itself, right, inside Disney, are also loyal cast members, what they call them, right? Not employees. And it was part of like putting on this big show. So you didn't feel like you were going to work as a worker, a janitor, but whatever, but part of the overall theme for what they laid out as one of the best brands, I think, in the world when it comes to entertainment, right?
Exactly. It's a very, very strong culture, right? And there's a mix of science and art that when you blend it together, it's magic, right? And that's one of the cool things about magic makers and how we're like consulting practitioners is that there are people who want to understand how do you take the Disney magic and apply it in their company?
Right.
And so in order to do that, you almost have to deconstruct the magic to show them how it's really created and then roll it all back together again. Almost like how a magician has card tricks and you watch it and you go, wait, how did he do that? Because it's just like magic. But at the end of the day, you can deconstruct it. But when you see it again, you're like, wait, I forgot all the steps. I just remember that I remember how I felt. And I think that's what's really important. I think that's what Disney brings. I think that's what loyalty brings. Just one thought on the stock, actually, right? So you brought up a really great point. I think that Disney is one of those companies that's very, very good about carefully crafting the customer journey throughout their different brands and lines of business, right? So you start with the stock certificate, or you start with the Mickey Mouse you get when you're an infant, right? And then you grow up and then you get old enough to visit the theme parks. And then you get immersed in the movies and streaming and so forth, right? And then one day, maybe as an adult, you want to go back and revisit all those things because you want your kids or your grandkids to have that experience. That's excellent life cycle marketing, right?
Yeah.
And figuring out how to weave through the whole brand and take your customers on the journey with you.
Yeah. Do you remember the show that used to be on TV that was sponsored by Disney on Sunday nights? Wild Kingdom, something.
Was it? Are you thinking Wonderful World of Disney?
Yes, that was it. Obviously, the Wonderful World of Disney.
Yeah,
but I remember that in the sense that was probably my first experience with Disney. And then going when I was a kid, I think I had more fun as an adult, honestly, with my kids, right? Because I get to appreciate both sides of the fun, enjoyable stuff that they were able to do. And I still enjoyed the roller coasters like a fanatic with my son.
Yeah.
And we had a blast. But anyway, I digress. So again, getting back to loyalty, let me ask you this, Sheila. Loyalty means a lot of things to a lot of people, but I'd love to be able to hear from you. This is episode, I think, 119. In fact, one of our previous episodes, I forget, you mentioned his name. We had someone from Choice Hotels on way back when.
Yeah, Jamie.
Jamie, yes.
Yeah.
But what does loyalty mean to you as a consumer?
Yeah. So for me, as well as having led a loyalty program, I think it's around a couple of things. One, it's around engaging the hearts and minds of your customers. And that looks different in different organizations. And that means different things to different people, which is why you need a lot of flexibility in your loyalty program and ideally personalization so that it does feel relevant and meaningful to you, right? I think another thing is it's building those relationships with your customers, again, throughout that whole journey. And different parts of the journey have different needs for a customer, right? And so making sure that you have the right opportunity in those sort of moments of truth, as I call them, in the customer journey. And I think the third was deepening a bond between your customers and your brand. And there are certain brands that I think do that really well because they lend themselves to experiences. And for me, the loyalty programs that I tend to be more loyal to are things that actually are more experiential than they are discount-based or necessarily just transactional points.
So when you think about a brand that you're loyal to, right? Let's see if you can come up with an example, but in the form of a story as to why. And I think, before we recorded, I was telling you about my American Express story, right? With the swimming pool. I'm not going to go into it because I probably mentioned it on 10 episodes and people could go back to a previous episode. But let me hear from you in the form of a story that people can identify with as to why you would be loyal to a particular brand.
Okay. All right. So this is, I will say, this was before I worked for Choice Hotels, right? So I'm going to talk about a competitor loyalty program. So I had a golden retriever who was just my heart. And I wanted to take him wherever I could go, right? And Kimpton Hotels are known for welcoming animals of all sizes. If they can fit through the doors, they can stay the night at a Kimpton Hotel. And so we would bring our dog, and we're doing a staycation in the Philadelphia area. We're staying at the Kimpton Palomar. And in the Kimpton Inner Circle program, they had a way in which you could build out a profile as highest tier loyalty member. And it would ask you, what sort of snacks do you like? What, beverages do you like in your room? And it said, tell me something else you like. And I thought, well, let's just see what they got. So I'm going to go crazy, and I'm going to put two things. I'm going to put Mickey Mouse and George Clooney. And so most of the time, nothing happened. But I tell you what, so I checked into Palomar, and the front desk, they're kind of like giggling. And they're like, we really hope you like your room. We upgraded your room, but let us know what you think. Call us when you get into your room. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to see you at wine hour in like an hour, in the social hour. I'm like, okay, I'll, get into my room. So I walk in my room, and I look around, and I put down my bag, and there's a picture of George Clooney on the desk, and it's framed. It's like a 4x6 picture of George Clooney. I'm like, okay, that's really kind of funny. They read my profile. Thank you so much, because if you're going to ask for information, I expect you to use it. I mean, that's what, if you ask me by birthday, then I expect you to give me a birthday reward in a loyalty program, right? So kudos to you. Thanks for the George Clooney picture. So then I walk into the bathroom. There's another picture of George Clooney. This one, and you've probably seen this picture on the internet, but he's holding a dog, and it says, I wish you were this puppy. And I'm like, okay, that's really funny. So then I turn around, I spin, do a 360 in the room. I see two other George Clooney pictures. One is in the windowsill, and then the last one is on the bed. All of these are framed pictures. And the one on the bed, on top of the pillow, it says, lay here with me. And I thought, this is hysterical, right?
That's funny.
So rather than calling, I just go downstairs. I'm like, you would not believe. First of all, lovely room. Thank you for the upgrade. Thank you for the lovely amenity. It was like wine and chocolate and truffle popcorn. So everything I had in my profile. I said, but the George Clooney thing is like way over the top. And she said, I tell you what, I was a little disappointed when I was putting this together, Miss Butler, because I actually went onto your LinkedIn profile and I tried to superimpose your head in a picture. So it'd be a picture of George Clooney and you together.
That's funny.
And you know what? So I tell you what, this is what I appreciated about the staff there, is that they went above and beyond to make sure that I felt seen, that I felt appreciated, that I felt important, and that I was special. And it still makes me laugh today, right? And you're laughing. By the way, I think I still have those pictures.
Really?
It was just one of those things where you go, man, okay. And by the way, it cost them practically nothing. The concierge said it took maybe 15 minutes to find the pictures on the internet, print them out. There was a CVS down at the corner, and she just went and bought 4 cheap 4x6 frames.
Yeah.
So loyalty and delivering that experience that's so memorable, that was probably more than 10 years ago now, doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but it takes the effort, and it takes a desire, I think, on the side of the brand, to have the people who are so passionate about the brand and delivering on that loyalty member experience that they're willing to just think way outside the box.
Yeah. So now the key is, you think about it from a business standpoint, this wasn't the owner of the hotel, wasn't even probably the general manager.
No,
maybe it was just the front desk person that thought of this.
Yeah.
So that has to come top down, though, honestly. I mean, it's not a bottom up type of approach, because you're not going to get a low level employee that's going to kind of think of those things. But at the same time, I think part of the culture of the company has to instill that in their people, to say that, I'm a big proponent of marketing is everything. The way you answer your phone, the way your office looks, if it's neat and tidy, everything speaks to your brand. I see a truck drive by and it's all disheveled and it's dirty and it's got their logo on the side. I'm like, man, that just looks like crap. Then I saw this other truck, and we needed stuff done in the yard. And I saw this thing was called Sanctuary Gardens. And it was a nice looking truck. The colors were great. The logo on it made sense. And the phone number was nice and big and bold. I got home, I called them, and they probably got like a $5,000, gig out of just me doing the stuff around the house.
Yep.
So I think, we talk about loyalty, but it comes into branding as well. I think part of the overall package that people need to realize. So the types of people that are listening to this program are saying, I need to increase the value of the customers that I already have. How can I do that? Right. And that's over delivering. So, you said it was Kimpton, right? That did that?
Yeah. It was Kimpton.
So
Inner
Kimpton
Circle.
went above and beyond, and now you're a lifetime customer. Same thing with me with American Express, right? So they go above and beyond for me, singling me out to think that this is someone that we want. I've got a super high LTV for them, for sure. I mean, I spend a ton of money on that credit card. It's like the only card I use. But again, getting back to how a small business operator can think about this in their business, from answering the phones to the way they send out an email to every single touch point. Let's talk about some things that you're planning with your new business that you've learned from the past, that, either mistakes that you've seen other people make, but how you're going to dovetail that into helping others improve their business profile and loyalty.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting. When I think about pain points in loyalty programs, right? Because they're pitfalls, and you're not looking for them. You just kind of find yourself in them. I think there are a couple hallmarks that you need to keep in mind from a loyalty program, and to make sure that you don't find yourself in that situation, right? So one is, I mentioned birthday and making sure that if you ask for my information, then you better deliver on it, right? So I think you need to make sure that you do what you promise for your customers. So think about what your main business objective is. What are you willing to do in your loyalty program? Can you afford to do that in your loyalty program? And then make sure that you deliver on the promise. You can't just go halfway, and you can't promise something and then take it away, right? I think another thing is you have to be consistent. And in many businesses, it's a franchise business, right? It could be food and beverage, it could be hotel, it could be gas stations, right? So from a loyalty program perspective, you're at arm's length from the actual delivery. So either you can choose to have things in which the delivery is digital, so it feels like you're in the moment, you're at the restaurant, but it's actually being delivered digitally to you versus in person, right? Or you have to make sure that frontline person that you're interacting with, who's interacting with the loyalty member, is truly trained well and can be the brand ambassador for your loyalty program in that moment with the customer, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the third thing is you need to make sure that you can flawlessly execute. I mean, flawlessly, right? So this is where you go, do it, but do it to the nth degree. So, for example, cruise lines. Cruise lines have a limited amount of space, right? But they have strong loyalty, and people will cruise again and again and again on the same brand because they know that they get up to higher loyalty tiers. More special things happen to them, like dinner with the captain and amenities in their room and so forth. So let's say you're a cruise line, and one of the things you promise for your certain loyalty tiers is that you'll deliver a bottle of champagne to the room. Now, it sounds super basic, but some people get a room temperature bottle of champagne. Mm. If I get a room temperature bottle of champagne, I don't have a place to chill it either because I'm in my cabin, right? Yeah. So make sure you can flawlessly execute. Most people would expect the bottle of champagne to be chilled. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation, right? Yeah. So I think it's all those things, but you got to think it through from beginning to end and make sure that you have all of the operations in place to make sure you can deliver on that experience.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head when you first said consistency. And obviously, you think of what Ray Kroc did with McDonald's was he saw what these guys were doing; they were crushing it, and he said, "I'm just going to duplicate this over and over and over and over again to make it, idiot proof, so to say.
Yeah.
Now, in a situation like that with McDonald's, they don't need a loyalty program per se. Yet there's big companies that are out there that do provide loyalty programs. Think American Express and the points, their membership reward points. I
Starbucks.
never use them except for anything except paying down my bill, because I think that's where I get max value. Because sometimes I think the things that they buy, or that you can use your points for, you can buy cheaper than you can by using the points for them, for what the cash value is of those points.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but think about like an everyday loyalty program, Starbucks, right? If you're going to Starbucks on even an unfrequent basis, if you're not enrolled in their free loyalty program, why? The barrier to entry is extremely low. Yeah. You earn points, you can redeem them. They have flexible redemptions now, right? So once you have enough stars, then you can redeem for even just a basic beverage, right? Yeah. They have all sorts of challenges that you have to choose to enroll, right? So let's say like, hey, Sheila, there's a challenge this weekend. Do you want to enroll? Like buy a cold brew and egg bites. Okay, great. What I normally get anyway. Thank you, by the way, for personalizing the message, because you know what I order and you know that that's what would get me in there again. Okay, great. Click, I'll join the challenge, right? Then you see offers and you go, okay, it's, Wednesdays after 12 o'clock, it's half off. And then as a practitioner in a loyalty program, you start to go, oh, okay, Starbucks needs more business on the weekend, which is why you're giving me the challenges for the weekend, because most people are probably going Monday through Friday. So you want my business on Saturday and Sunday. Got that. Okay. You also need afternoon business. And maybe Wednesday is your slowest day, or maybe you spread that out, but I think everyone gets the Wednesday at 50% in the summer. But you start to go back and say, again, loyalty programs serve a business purpose, and they are there to deliver on business goals and objectives, right? So know what they are and know how you can motivate your customers in the loyalty program to deliver on the behaviors that you're looking for that meet the needs of your business. But doing it in such a way that is meaningful to the customer, so they're on board with that, right? You don't want them to feel like, are you just taking advantage of me? No, I'm not. I'm trying to give you everything you want. But by the way, it should be a sort of reciprocity, right? You win, I win.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny you say that, because I just switched over. I was using this thing called Factor 75. Now they just call it Factor. They rebranded the thing. It's basically delivered meals, right? So it's pre-cooked delivered meals that you just heat up. Because, during the day, my wife's out at the barn with the horse, and I'm looking for something to eat. I'm not a chef by any stretch. And I don't even like to leave to go out because I'm busy in front of my computer or whatever. So I order these things, and I get 8 of them a week. They'd come in this frozen, container sort of, and I would put them in the refrigerator and then just stick them in the microwave. And I think it was like $12 a meal, which really wasn't bad. It was getting delivered out of Illinois or something. And then again, talk about marketing. I'm driving down 441, which is the main drag here in West Palm Beach out by me. And I see a van that says Ideal Nutrition. And it's nicely decorated and blah, blah, blah. I look at it, it has a QR code on it. Tell my wife, take a snapshot of that while we're sitting at the light. She does with her phone, gets me the URL. And I called, and it was $7.70 a meal. It's right around the corner from me. And they have a loyalty program where the only thing you have to do is put in your phone number at the kiosk, right? So when you go to check out, I don't know who it is, if it's like Clover or one of those, but they have the panel that's facing them, and then the panel that's facing the customer. And you just put in your phone number when you come in, and it gives you the points. Now I'm at 98. I just bought another one today. Now they do deliver for free, but for me, I like the idea of being able to go there, open up the fridge and see what the selection is. But it's made fresh every probably 3 days, 2 or 3 days. And, they last a week before freezing them. So I just pick up what I need when I need it. But anyway.
And you're supporting a small business in your community, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be small after a while, because I think he's got a couple of other ones. I think he's got one in Boca. He might have another one in Aventura. It was, I think a former police guy somebody was telling me about it. And their location is right next door to the gym. It's not the gym that I go to, but to a huge LA Fitness, right? So, I mean, that's good product placement right there. But, again, I checked out today and they had buy one, get one free. So I got the meal for like $4. And he's like, I didn't have another one there that I liked. So I just got one and he gave it to me for half off. I was like, I appreciate that. That was nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think they see me in there often enough that I bring the bag that they give me the thing in back to them so they can just fill it back up. It's good stuff. Anyway, so let's get into the business aspect of it, Sheila, with regard to, and I know, based on our call before, you have extensive background and experience in a bunch of different things, but let's touch base on some of the things that you've done in the past that would relate to loyalty that our listeners would be able to, again, glean some information out of that they should be doing when they think about working with their customers.
Yep. So, it's kind of run the gamut, right? So developing loyalty, right? And deciding what does that really mean, starting from scratch. So when we launched the Disney Visa card, none of that existed, right? We had to you go through extensive customer research and figure out what's meaningful, right? And you think about the economics of it. So what do we think we're going to drive in terms of sales and spend on the card? What can we afford to deliver from a value perspective, not only from the true cost, but then the perceived value? In the case of the Disney card, when we were launching it, was just a no-fee card at the beginning. They now have a fee-based card too, but at the beginning, it was a no-fee card. So you can't afford to get more than really 1 point per dollar on spend, right? But you could build in things, which is what people really want at Disney, all around experiences. So character meet and greets and getting a free digital picture. And actually back in the day, you could even pick it up as a printed picture because we launched the card 20 years ago. But so people wanted to not stand in a long line for characters, to be inside in air conditioning, to get a free picture that they could take with them or now digitally, right? So know your customers, know what motivates them. The card design was very, very special for the Disney Visa card. So it started out, it's just like the Mickey Pants red card. And that was the only card design at the time. But it took about 2 years. We finally tested into putting real Disney characters on the front and back of the card, which lifted sales even more. It lifted new customer acquisition substantially. So now there's like a whole suite of different cards, including Star Wars characters that people can select for their card design, which creates a conversation piece. Another thing that we did when we launched the card is we worked with Visa and received special privilege or permission to have day one on the card. So it's embossed on the card and now lasered because they laser now. If you were a card member and you got the card on the first day that the card product launched, and it's also on your card if you got within the first year, charter card member. And then the training was to make sure that whoever was the cast member at the point of sale, either a Disney store or Disney cruise line or Disney theme park or Disney resort or you name it, that there was a recognition of, oh, wow, you're a day one charter card member. That's fantastic. Wow, that's amazing, right? So again, it's make me feel special, make me feel seen, make me feel valued. It goes back to that over and over and over again. So I'm doing that, but also retooling loyalty programs, right? You can't just set it and forget it. So your business evolves over time, add more redemption opportunities, add more earning opportunities. Make sure that your loyalty program has enough earning and burning opportunities throughout not only just the travel ribbon of airline and train and car rental and so forth, but then also everyday aspects, because I'm not going to go on vacation 52 weeks a year if I am in a hotel loyalty program, but I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm probably going to Uber. I'm going to do a lot of everyday things. So where can your brand be? Where can you tie into your loyalty program so you are ever present and top of mind?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, let me tell you, Sheila. So I think it was 5 years ago, we launched what was CompLinks. We rebranded it to Rewards Everywhere, which, the commodity is that there's a company called Cartera Commerce, which was purchased by Rakuten, who bought Ebates, and they do exactly that. We built a white label version of it, but so every airline program and hotel program has an online shopping mall where you can go buy stuff at Walmart, Kmart, Home Depot, Best Buy, book travel or whatever, and you can earn points that go exclusively to, let's say it's American Airlines version of it, so it's a specifically American Airlines, they'll go into your frequent flyer miles. Southwest has the same thing. So we built a white label platform that does exactly that, and we deliver it for free, and it's up and running in 30 days for a brand. So we have
phenomenal.
Parks Casino is on board, and we launched just before COVID. We signed with Marcus Theaters, but they shut all their theaters down, so it never really panned out. But I think it would be a great idea for like Uber. If you're on Uber all the time, right? If you're Ubering everywhere, be top of mind and buy stuff that you can then earn Uber points or Uber dollars everywhere you shop. So it's like cash back in the form of that company's currency. So anyone can do this. There is a sort of economy of scale, though, because unless they have, the return is very small. It's only like $2.40 per month per user. So it's not a lot, relatively speaking. But you have a Starbucks that has 15 million people or more in their loyalty program. That adds up to a tremendous amount of money that they could be making by implementing an all-in-one type of online shopping mall, which again, the company that we founded fully manages the solution. So it's not even that they don't have to touch it, which is the idea. So what does the future of loyalty look like to you, Sheila, with technology the way it's going? Are we going to be asking ChatGPT this question?
Or Chip, as I call it. Yeah. Chip. Chip and I are very close. Chip is my coworker, my virtual coworker. You know what? I think that we will always be seeking that one-to-one marketing that we've been talking about for 20 years, and we'll still keep talking about it. And doing it in such a way that's incredibly personalized to again motivate customers in the ways that you want them to engage with your brand, right? But do it in a way that's more relevant and hopefully less tech intensive, which I think has been the barrier for a long time, is that often these reward platforms are not built with the flexibility to do one-to-one, right?
Yeah.
And as fast as technology is evolving with AI, you gotta hope that there's some magical combination that makes this really, really real. Because I think that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's, the personalization to the degree that, and I've probably told this story a number of times, when we used to go to Foxwoods, when we lived up in New York, we'd take the ferry over. We'd go and I would play poker and my wife would play slots. And then invariably 3 days later, when we get back home, we would get 2 postcards in the mail. She would get one about slots tournaments and slot activity, and I would get one for the poker schedule for the following month.
Yep.
And that spoke to the personalization of them knowing who I was, what I wanted, and obviously the same thing with my wife. And again, it doesn't have to be super, super granular. I mean, it's not like George Clooney is going to show up at your house. But the point is that, and if anyone's listening to this who knows George Clooney, have him listen, because I think it'd be a good kick to have him reach out to Sheila directly. But I think the idea is that, it doesn't have to get super creepy. It's based on your likes, dislikes, what they show you or don't show you. And that's the idea, to keep the engagement with your customer exactly the way they want to be engaged with. You know what I mean? So
right, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing is that, me getting something from Starbucks and it's saying, here are extra stars for buying this, and they're featuring the things that they know I buy. For me, that's not creepy. I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, I may just do that. If they sent me something and it was constantly an item that I never bought, instead, I would actually look and go, really? After all these times and all the point of sale data you have on me, you still can't figure it out? And then I'm off put by that, right? So for me, I have a negative reaction if you market me something that I don't want, and I know you have the data to know what I do want.
Mm-hmm. It's funny too, and not to get on an aside, but it comes down to the response of an email that I got the other day from a company that one of my portfolio companies is launching a newsletter, and we're using this company Beehive as the kind of engine that runs the newsletter. And I sent an email asking them something about a WYSIWYG editor similar to MailChimp, and the response that I got was in-depth, thoughtful, and they really read the question and responded exactly the way I wanted to. Not, here's a couple of articles that'll answer it for you. And I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. You guys know the system inside and out. It's not a secret, is it? Just tell me what I want to know. And they did that, and I was like blown away. I was like, that's the kind of responsiveness and I think interaction that people want. Put yourself on the other end of it. All right. You get on the phone with a customer service person, and they're just not listening to you, if you can understand them in the first place, but they're not listening, and they're just talking over you. And I'm like, that never happens when I call Apple, right? When I call Apple, a trillion-dollar company or multi-trillion-dollar company, whatever it is, they take the time to listen to the person and understand what they're saying, read between the lines to get to the result that they're looking for. It might not just be the answer, it's the underlying reason as to why they're even asking the question that they can get to, which is the important part.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. So again, I want to thank you for your time. I want to, if people want to get in touch with you, Sheila, what's the best way they can do that?
Okay, so they can go to butlermg.com. So BUTLER, M as in marketing, G as in group.com. And then also reach out to me personally. So Sheila, SHEILA, at butlermg.com. And yeah, happy to help. I mean, I've got just a ton of passion around loyalty, obviously, but partnership marketing, brand transformation as companies evolve and go through mergers or acquisitions and so forth. And then I love being a CMO, and I love the opportunity to work with medium-sized businesses that don't need a full-time CMO, but they need someone for just a fraction of the time. So yeah, a lot of great things that I'm excited about offering businesses.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, again, as a fellow Floridian, you should definitely look up Sheila. She will help you out and get your business on the right track. So I want to thank you again for your time and your insights and your input. I think it was valuable. If you're a listener of the program and you got some value from the show, please go to your podcast service and give us a nice favorable review. And we'd appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. If you know someone else who might benefit from some of the materials that we've covered, please share it. You can find this and other Loyalty Minute episodes at theloyaltyminute.com. Thank you and enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for your next edition of the Loyalty Minute.